hello, everybody. Welcome to Dental Alements podcast. I have a very special guest on today. I have Shelby. And how Shelby and I met was through Facebook, right, Shelby?
It sure was.
Through the Dental Assisting Mentoring Program?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me a little bit about why you were looking for a mentor and a little bit on your background in assisting?
Sure. So I was looking for a mentor because I went through a 12-week training program, and that training program taught you a lot of the basics, a lot of, how to do things and etc. But they didn't teach you a lot of how things work day to day in an office. They didn't teach you a lot of the techniques that you need when working one-on-one with patients and things of that nature. So that's why I was looking for a mentor to kind of help me learn tips and tricks of working with patients and putting everything that I learned in school into work in the field. Because you can know what you're doing, but until you're actually in the field putting it into practice, it is completely different.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I remember as a student going into, well, in any sort of field anyway, but when you're getting into your first job, you don't know what to expect. Like you were saying, you learn the foundation in school, but outside of schools, everything else they didn't teach you and getting into real world. So when you saw the mentoring program, is that when you're like, oh, this will be helpful, or are you actually seeking out a mentoring program?
It was a little bit of both. I was hoping to find a mentor, someone that I could look up to, someone that could kind of help me navigate the waters. I wasn't like actively looking. And then it was kind of like a beacon, if you will.
That's a good way to put
it. Yeah. So I joined the dental Facebook page and I started seeing all those posts about the mentoring program that's offered through it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big fat sign if I have ever seen one.
Right. Right. Well, I remember when you contacted me and I was like, oh, good, because I love mentoring and coaching dental assistants. And it's like, oh, great. And from our first meeting, I knew we would hit it off and be a good pairing. Hopefully you felt the same way. Obviously you're still here.
Yes, definitely. You've helped me work some mucky waters these last couple of months, and I don't know that I could have handled those situations without your coaching.
So. Oh, well, thank you. That's good to hear. So is there anything you didn't, or let me take that back. Anything you learned in school that you found beneficial that you carried on into the workplace?
I mean, obviously, all of the basics are beneficial, such as, tooth numbers, things like that, etc. Obviously, all of that stuff is beneficial. Unfortunately, my program, because of how fast-paced it was, didn't really have time to sit down and do a lot of working one-on-one with patients. So as far as that side of it goes, I didn't really learn anything in school that was super helpful.
So from what you're saying, sounds like, you're taught the technical skills, the hard skills.
Yeah.
As far as soft skill, like communication and how to speak to the patient, how to speak to your fellow team members, the doctor, getting the flow, getting the, like, reading body language. That's something you didn't really learn in school.
Exactly.
Just so the audience knows, I was an instructor, so I'm not saying school isn't where you don't learn anything. Absolutely you do. We do teach the foundation, just some of that after school, after graduation, it's something that needs to be developed. It's not something you can just do in a day or a week.
Most definitely. And there's different programs, and I want to stress that too. There's different programs that are longer and more, what's the word I want to use?
Comprehensive or in depth?
Yes, thank you. That have more externships
Hmm.
that while you may not get all of the hours that you want, there are a lot of programs out there that do have lengthy externships where you will get some exposure to that. It's just my program specifically didn't have any.
Okay. What do you find valuable in having a mentor?
For me, the most valuable thing about having a mentor has been knowing that if there's a situation that I don't feel like I can handle or that I don't know how to handle it, I've always been able to come to you and be like, hey, what advice can you give me for this? There's been times where my mentor has helped me with little tricks on taking x-rays faster or more accurately. And I mean, every little thing like that makes you a better assistant.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad that you were able to implement some of the tips that I gave you.
Most definitely. They have been super helpful.
Well, cool. That makes me feel good when you say that because makes us both better people.
Yes, definitely.
As far as as an assistant, you're part of the crew now. Part of the
Yeah.
is a mentorship something you would suggest to your classmates?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because, even if you've been doing this for forever, there is always, always something that you can learn from someone who's been doing it longer. This field is ever growing, ever changing, and you never know it all.
Right.
Someone that you can someone that you can ask those questions to, and that can help you grow, that is so important.
That's like the golden line right there. Because even though I've been in it for 25 years, I still seek out advice and mentors. They say even as a seasoned veteran in any industry, also find someone younger than you to learn from them as well. So even though we've been in a long time, you can also learn from someone who may have new ideas, different ways of doing things as well. We try not to be too stubborn in our ways because we're here to benefit from each other.
Exactly.
Now, do you wish they had offered a mentorship in school?
It wasn't something they offered. If they would have paired us with somebody that was, a good fit for us. I feel like during school, it could have been very tricky.
Not
For
right.
sure.
Right.
I definitely think that it could have been beneficial that as I was learning some of this stuff, figuring out how to put it into practice as I was learning it instead of, okay, here's all this information. Now go figure out how to do it.
Now, would you be willing to take coursework that covers areas that weren't taught in school or ones that were taught in school and improve upon them?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this field is so wide that, I mean, even if it wasn't covered in school, there's so many different avenues in this field. You never know what might spark your interest to switch to maybe say oral surgery as opposed to, general dentistry. And, it could be that one course that switches you from one direction to the other. And, that change may make you the happiest position you've ever had.
Right. Even if it's not even in dentistry, something that may help you in dentistry. Yeah, it's a skill set. We're always building upon our skill set. We're always improving upon what we know.
Yes.
Any other comments about mentoring, or do you see yourself becoming a mentor someday?
I think it would be something that I would be willing to do. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I think if you're on the fence about it, I say do it. I mean, you have nothing to lose at all.
Right. Now, would you give advice to anybody that maybe is on the fence either to mentor or maybe want to be a mentee? Like you had said, you you came to the conclusion, hey, a mentor would be beneficial for me, because not everybody knows they need a mentor, right?
Right.
No, until maybe they get in a situation like, oh, I need help. And you said you actually sought someone out, and not everybody does that. So, what kind of advice would you give somebody? Say they probably would benefit from a mentor. How would you approach them?
What I would do is I would talk about the mentoring that I've received and how much it's helped me. Because if especially if you don't have the right kind of relationship with that person,
Mhm.
to just be like, hey, I think you could really benefit from this, because that can be a little blunt.
Yeah. But that's okay.
I think if you talk, yeah, I think if you talk about how much it's benefited you, um, and just casually drop, hey, if it's something you're ever interested in, I have some great contacts.
Great. Yeah, yeah. That's, if you approach, like you said, kind of gently saying, hey, this would it's benefited me. I think it would be really a great fit for you.
Yeah.
It's been real valuable to me. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Well, Shelby, thanks for being on the show today. You've given an invaluable amount of information, and I hope this podcast, this episode, inspires somebody to be a mentor or be a mentee. And please tell your friends about it, any former classmates you may be in contact with, and maybe any coworkers. And just as a reminder, Cindy and I have a program called Bridging the Gap from Root You On, ROTU, letter U, ON.com, and that will lead you to the coursework in the mentorship program. Yes, Shelby, it's been, as always, a pleasure to talk to you.
Definitely. I've always enjoyed our talks. They're so much fun.
Yeah, Shelby and I don't just talk about dentistry. We talk about other things in life. But
Yes.
it's been so cool to watch you grow as an assistant virtually. Yeah, we'll continue this mentorship as long as you like, and happy to help out.
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, cool. So to all you out there in podcast land, thanks for listening to Dental Ailments Podcast. Talk to you next time.